Christ in the City is a service program that incorporates 3 different components into the program here in Denver. It is a service program for college-age Catholics. We invite people from all over the country to come to Denver to learn what it is to be a missionary in the United States. And that encompasses 3 things: spiritual formation, intellectual formation, and charitable formation. The spiritual formation incorporates what is Catholic spirituality. That includes the Mass, the liturgy of the hours. Our whole day is marked by this Catholic spirituality that is so beautiful in our faith. And then the intellectual formation, that includes classes on Catholic social teaching. It includes guest lectures from different professionals in the field of charitable work, in which they will give their advice and their thoughts and their expertise to our missionaries on the ins and outs of nonprofit work. They will also go on a street walk with a formerly homeless woman to know what it is to be homeless in order to serve them better.
A key part of Christ in the City, why it's different than a lot of programs, is it's intensely formative for the missionaries themselves. There's a lot of investment in their spiritual life. There's a lot of investment in their intellectual life. So it's the formation to take back, to be capable of doing this kind of work in any number of other places.
The culture in which we live right now distracts us so much from prayer, from service, from living authentic Christian lives. And so Christ in the City offers participants, these missionaries, 2 weeks or 1 year to devote their entire life to Christ. And we have 2 different programs. The first program is the Summer of Service, and that will be in May 23rd to June 18th. And that program gives a glimpse of what Catholic service work will be like here in the United States for a long term. So it's everything that we have talked about thus far, just in a 2-week period. And then the year of service begins August 1st. And that is where people, like college-age Catholics between 19 and 25, they take a year of their life to serve Christ here in the poor in Denver.
A couple things that we saw that surprised us. One is in a 2-week service program, the impact on the community you're serving is limited. But what we saw was the impact on the missionaries themselves. And I would say the most important thing we learned, the 2 questions we had, maybe put it this way, was will this have the kind of impact for the missionaries themselves that, say, a trip to South America would have, going overseas? And second, what do they do with it afterwards? And what we found out is it was as powerful as mission trips overseas for the transformation of the lives of the missionaries themselves. One of the common comments was, I never knew there were so many poor people in the city. And the response is, they're in your city too, you just don't know how to see them. So it was a wake-up call. It was a cultural experience for them. But here was the real benefit we saw was, of the 50 students who came last summer, pretty much every single one of them went back to their communities and got involved. So the impact wasn't even just here, it was actually back where they'd come from. And they joined the Dorothy Day Center, they got involved with Catholic Charities where they came from, or some other outreach. So the real impact is, by doing it in the States, in a city, they learn how to take that back to their own communities, which is part of the vision of what we're doing.
Many of the missionaries that come on board with us, they're not used to the rigorous schedule that we have. And they may be a little nervous about the spirituality and the prayer and the intensity of what we do. Yet at the end, their lives are in and of themselves transformed. And they want to continue on the spirit of Christ in the City. And they will bring it back to the different cities that they're from. And that is what we've seen thus far. Our alumni of Christ in the City, they go back to their cities and they find a way in which they can bring Christ to others.
So it isn't here missionaries come have a nice experience, it's here missionaries come have a nice experience and be trained to be able to do this in other places, because we want to multiply the effect of Christ in the City. It doesn't end in a year. Our goal is it perdures in the missionaries themselves for the rest of their lives, frankly.